There we go.
All right.
You know, I wish things weren't so complicated to reshare and post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like if you've never like tried to share a live broadcast off of
Oh,
LinkedIn that you're
yeah.
hosting, it is not the simplest thing on the
No.
planet. Because you got to make sure that you're in the right profile. You got to make sure you go to the page. And because LinkedIn needs you to see all the ads first
Uh-huh.
and all the metrics first, they won't let you see your own posts on your admin page.
Yep.
So, anyways, here we are. Wow. We have what, 2 weeks left before the end of the year, people?
Yep.
And then
Barely.
we get to do it all over again starting in January. So in the software world, just so a lot of you know, like the pain in December is that people always true up their licenses in December. For
Yeah.
some reason, they don't do it in June. They should be doing it in June, but they don't.
Yeah.
And so a whole bunch of people like will come say, well, we're not using that anymore, or we're doing this and that, or hey, we need you to help us with this. And so
Mhm.
we get really busy in December, like with bringing new users on. Some people are moving off, and some people are wanting more training. And so December ends up being a little bit busy for us. But because Skip and I are pretty good at moving through the year, it's not as bad as I don't think it's as bad as it was 3 years ago. 3 years
Oh
ago,
yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
December was horrible.
Yeah. We've
And then
managed to
January
smooth
hits,
things
everybody wants
out.
to
So.
start everything new there. And so January gets really busy as well. Which makes me wonder, like, why do people see December as when I need to end things and January is when I need to begin things? Is it just because it's the first and last months of the year?
It
Is
may
there
be.
some logical reason other than budgets to
I think
start
it's
and
that,
end
yeah,
things?
that idea starts, percolating our minds about fresh starts, new initiatives, all those sort of things. And one thing leads to another. So, I mean, how many people out there are gearing up and, psyching themselves up for a new fitness goal, right? That's always, fun to watch at the gym and in life. And,
Yeah,
sometimes it works out.
the gym in January is a little weird place, right?
It is. It
Like,
is.
if for those of you who go to the gym regularly, right, you have your people that you're
Mhm.
going to see. You know this. You know that Susan runs on that treadmill every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. You know that this lady is working the juice counter so you can get your shake, your protein shake afterwards. You know that this class is going on. And you kind of get to know your kind of routine. And then January comes, and Susan isn't on the treadmill at 1 o'clock.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
Bob
bumped off.
who has decided that he needs to lose 30 pounds. So you get this fresh influx of people that you can talk to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the ways in the software industry, right? Like people have a new tool they want to get going. Like we've hit the end of the year, we've got our routine with our people, and we've had people we've been on this journey with for a while, and we have this flood of new people come in. Like, okay, I'm not in my routine anymore. I got a bunch of new people I need to deal with, and how do I incorporate them into my system to be part of our culture?
Yeah.
And so in the gym, they try to be really good at when you leave the gym, like saying, "Hey, thanks for coming." Or when you come in, like somebody touching point and saying your name. And it helps you feel like you're part of a group.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to be at Humanize IT, where when you come into our system, you're not just coming in as a new customer. You're coming in as a member, as somebody
Yeah.
that we're going to spend time with, that we're going to joke around with and make
Yeah.
fun of. And our favorite punching bag, Mike Giovanni,
There you go. Yeah.
who's our next new punching bag? And then some people are really insightful. They love to beta test with us. They love to come in the environment and give us feedback.
Yeah.
And so you just got to keep building that culture. But when it comes down, like, when do you end and when do you begin? For some reason, this January and December seem to be when to do it. But
Yeah.
what if you had started this journey in June instead? You could have ended the year on higher profits.
Yeah.
The number of times I talk to people say, "Oh yeah, we'll get around to that in the beginning of the year." And my standard response usually like, "What's going to change at the beginning of the year that we can talk about?"
Yeah.
I'm not trying to accuse anybody, but I want them to think like, "I'll do this in 6 months" is not a valid answer.
It really isn't. And I think stereotypically everybody kind of makes fun of the January gym, fitness goals for everybody. But you know, sometimes those work out. They really do. And it was 2019 that I found myself in overall pretty poor shape, not at all where I thought I would be, but it was December of 2019. And there was this, motivation to make a change. And I didn't want to be part of the January crowd, right? I thought, oh, that's just cliche. So
I don't want to be a cliche.
I started right then. I mean, it was 3.5 weeks before the end of the year. And I started then. And that was 2019. I haven't stopped. And so those sort of initiatives, whether it be, 2.5 weeks into December or January or February 1st, making a decision and then doing it sooner, much, much sooner than later is going to provide way, way more results than trying to say, okay, I'll arrange my schedule. Everything will go as planned. My customer events are going to happen just like I think they will. And we'll be able to do this in Q2 or something. Good and well, that's not going to happen. Just go.
Timely goals are great. But when you just say on this date on Q1, I know I've talked about the cadence a lot in setting a date and a time is a key way to make sure things get done. There's a context in there.
Yeah. And
the context is make sure that why are you picking that day and time? So are you going to have, is it an achievable goal? Is it realistic that you meet at that time to discuss this thing? So I think your SMART goal mentality there.
Yep.
Just because, so timely, can you get this done in time? And it's specific. I want to start this new widget, or I want to hire this new person. But then the realistic part of, am I going to be ready? So we talk to people like, I'm going to do this in 6 months. Okay, will you be ready then? Yeah. What's changing? What is the state of your process where this is going to work where it hasn't before? And that's where I say, when you figure your time, don't say, I'm going to do it in 6 months. Say, I'm going to do it after this is done. This will be done in December. So that means in January 3rd at 3:00 in the afternoon, I'll be able to do this thing. I'll be primed and ready to go. I will have cleaned up my asset inventory so Humanize IT can read that and start generating revenue for us immediately.
Yep.
These are the things you need to think about.
Yeah. And I think, this being the time of year that, this kind of sparks a lot of conversations, but the goal mentality is really good. But remember, the goal is the objective. I mean, in maybe perhaps more strict terms, it's the end point. And I think too many times we get so focused on the end that we don't look at the beginning. And the first is make a step, do something. And even if all right, this goal is not going to end until December, you certainly don't want to start on it until December 1, right? You need to make those steps now. So don't look at your goal as I'm going to start my goal. No, you're going to finish your goal in some time frame. Start your goal now.
Yes, start now is what is kind of the ideal thing. Don't wait to do tomorrow what you can do today. Be that person who says, I'm going to get something done. What's keeping me from getting this thing done? So when we're talking about planning out 2025, that's why we start talking about this stuff. Like next month, we'll start talking about 2027.
Yep.
Or 2026.
Yeah.
We will start talking about 2026 in 1 month. Less than 3 weeks. You'll see us start mentioning it in our podcast. You'll see us start mentioning it in our tool, so that when we are getting our playbook done and we're thinking about who do we need to integrate with, what's the next steps for Humanize IT, how are we going to help our clients, how are we going to help our members that to get more revenue. We want them to shout from the rooftops, holy crap, I made so much money this year, because we're thinking out 12 months. That's how far we're thinking out. That way, when we get to 12 months later, we're like, look how far we came. So for instance, we'll be doing our crystal ball podcast here pretty soon. I think we're recording it tomorrow. And we're going to have Jonathan Crow on there from Ninja One. And what we're going to talk about is, what do we see 2025 going into 2026 look like? So we're already planning on change and what we're going to be doing and how we're going to adapt to it already here in 2024. We're planning for 2026.
No.
We're achieving success because we're forecasting. So this year, to come up with 2024 stuff, we started planning this out in 2023. And what we started noticing, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what are our lessons learned from 2024. Right? So the lesson learned for Adam Walter of 2024 is that conferences are a sham.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it, people.
You beat me to it.
You can get just as good of education online, if not better education online for free than you can by going to a conference and spending thousands of dollars to talk to a vendor like me at a booth. And so we started measuring this, right? What I learned in 2024, it's like there are so many conferences going on that people get to them, and it's good education. It's a great way to network with people and learn.
Very good.
But you can learn anywhere. You don't need to go to a conference to learn an item anymore. That's something that was 15 years ago. Today, everything is streamed. Everything. There's not a topic under the sun where you have to go to a conference to learn it. The networking, the building of relationships will help you, but not necessarily build your business. What you want to do here is, like, next year, I believe somebody quoted me, there are 300 MSP conferences next year.
Oh, wow.
300.
Wow.
And given how much I spend as a vendor on each one of those, this is becoming a large money dump.
Yes.
Where everybody's making, are you making money as an MSP on this event? I'm willing to bet not.
Yeah.
Who is the host? And then the vendors are trying their best to make their money back.
They're trying to make their money, yes.
And so what we noticed was, so in 2023, we started paying attention. Hey, we dumped hundreds of thousands of dollars on conferences in 2023. What do we want to do in 2024 to be more efficient? What lessons did we learn, and how much are we getting out of each conference? What's our ROI on this stuff? And so we started paying attention. We made a goal to look at attention. And on a secondary goal, Adam Walter and Richard have been watching our social media content. If you're able to build great content that is actually valuable, not this formulaic crap where somebody's trying to get you to pay attention to their feed because they're hitting certain key metrics and they're tagging so many people and they're trying to get as many likes and posts as possible. But if you actually create material that is advisory and consultative, that you'll get a better experience for everyone. So what we noticed was, this year, we, for free, not doing any of the boosting, or a couple boosts for tests, but nothing serious. We noticed that our social media outpaced the hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent on conferences by a wide margin. The feedback I get during like prospecting sessions or just chit-chatting with MSPs is like, man, we love your content. Keep pushing it. I don't get that from one. I get that from multiple people. Like, this is good stuff. Keep pushing it. And so we're like, what if we actually put effort into our content? Like, so that's our 2025. What if we put effort into content that was valuable and helped MSPs make money? Like maybe you'll come and do business with us. It'd be a whole Miracle on 34th Street thing. Like, oh, I'm coming back here because these guys help. That is what we've been noticing, is that people are attracted to people who provide value. And you as an MSP should be doing the same thing for your clients. You should be building things that give them value. So they see a reel on Facebook that shows how to avoid having your Facebook account hacked. It's a simple process, people. Two-factor is right there. And people don't know. That you as an MSP can make a 30-second reel that hits Facebook and goes viral. But none of you are doing it. Not once. As an IT person, have I seen IT advice given out in my reels. I see a lot of stuff getting blown up. I see a lot of cookies and stuff being made with chocolate. And
a lot of FUD.
What?
A lot of FUD. You know,
see a
everybody likes to
lot of
spin
new-
the yep.
just things that you're going to just click through. And every once in a while, I see an advice thing, and it's usually mine. Like I'm giving myself advice. Why are you MSPs not leaning into the social media? Short form, easy, quick answers.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that this 2024, my absolute throw it at the wall attempt with Skip and I and other people outpaced our lead generation by far over conferences. And you can say, hey, you know what, you're not doing conferences right. You know, probably not. We're new at this stuff. Like we're only a couple of years old into it. But I can say, like, where did this lead come from? Somebody went inbound. Somebody came into us. They thought we had valuable content and they came in and asked. And you as an MSP could be that same person. Who's giving advice in your community to the general audience of Sheboygan or Houston?
Yeah.
Who's giving advice? No one. No one. And so you can be that person. And I'm willing to bet you'll start making a lot of cash. You'll start seeing people seeing your MSP as the de facto tech guide for Houston or Odessa or, pick your town. And all you have to do is make a 30-second video on how do you keep your password safe or how do you keep your account safe on Facebook.
Yeah.
Start hitting the large venues that educate people with expecting nothing in return. And eventually when you get to somebody's doorstep, people are like, hey, I could really use your help on securing our corporate network.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that? Do you know somebody who does that? Yes, I do know somebody.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that, I believe, is going to be the future of 2025. We'll talk about that in the podcast tomorrow, probably, or it'll air in 2 weeks.
And that's a great example of that iterative process that we've been talking about. You know, we start out with goals and objectives, but we're constantly tweaking those. The expectation that you're going to get a master plan that is going to come off just like you thought it would is really unrealistic. And unfortunately, too many people are counting on those things to happen. And when the plan falls apart, they kind of just fall back to, okay, I'm just going to respond. I'll just do something when the phone rings or, the email shows up, whatever. And you just have to constantly look at what you're doing to adjust that so that you're staying focused on your goal. What is our goal? Our goal wasn't to go to conferences. Our goal was to engage with MSPs, right? Conferences seemed like a good way to do that. And in the end, it wasn't the best, we probably won't, totally
the funny
not
thing
go to
was
conferences.
People advising us that conferences were the best for the people making money off of the conferences.
Yeah, that's true too. So careful where you're listening. But just that process of keeping the focus on the goal, but taking those steps to get there. And you're so many times you're not going to know that even that second step. But in many cases, it's the 10th or the 15th step, whatever down the line. You just don't know. So don't waste a lot of time trying to figure that out. Start now, and those roadmaps will begin developing pretty quickly as you get more experience doing rather than learning.
Yeah. To go back to the original part of the conversation was when planning, when learning, start now so that in 6 months you can make what you're doing now look like crap.
Yep.
Don't say in 6 months I will start this unless there is a reason. Don't just set an arbitrary date. That's how you get nothing done. That's how you stay in firefighting mode, people.
Yep.
I will do this, and when I have this accomplished, I will do that because it'll make it more meaningful. You can start little things today to work in context. If you want to start a QBR process in January, you're not going to just start a QBR process in January. I'm sorry, you're not.
Yeah.
What you're going to do is you're going to start creating a QBR process in January, and hopefully by December you will have it complete.
Yes, a really full featured one. Yep.
I want to have this done and across all my clients and have them observing this new cadence by the end of 2025. So going into 2026, the expectation is we're going to be doing these things. It takes 12 months to do this, people. That's why our coaching program takes 12 months. It's not because the effort takes that amount of time. It's because it takes that amount of time to build a process that all of your clients will start observing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is, but along the way, you're going to be making micro adjustments to this. Just like when we said we want more people to learn about humanized IT, because we've got a great system here. We've got a great community that we want people to be a part of. We want to help MSPs make money. We genuinely want to help, but people aren't getting this message because we're not playing the game.
Yeah.
We don't have $6 million just sitting off to the side for our budget for conferences next year. That's for the bigger guys. That's for those giant. That's for your Kaseyas and stuff like that. Like, oh, we have this many $1 million to push towards these events, and that's the game they're playing. And as a smaller vendor, I'm trying to play the same game because I feel like that's the expectation. But instead, I can think, what am I actually trying to do? I'm trying to reach people to educate them. There's a better way to do IT.
Yeah.
So we realized that this year we still went to conferences. We still attended them, but then we started realizing that it wasn't meeting our goal. So our old goal was like, hey, we want to do double the number of conferences by the end of 2024. And we started realizing that conferences were not a great ROI. We're not a great mechanic for us to teach through. And so that's when we pivoted, whatever you want to call it, had a paradigm shift. Said, social media is where people are getting education now. There's some great communities out there if you haven't been in them. And you got Chris Weiser's group. They got a great community there where people are talking about sales and how to run MSPs better. You got Ninja One has a great Discord community where people are talking through scripts and talking about technical specifics. And these things are all over the place. And these great conversations are happening.
Yep. And if you're looking for brand new communities to get involved with, Humanized IT just launched our Discord channel, our Discord section. So please check us out there, and we'd love to get you involved.
Yeah.
But let me belabor this point with one more really specific example, and this might resonate with several of you. Different software, but I can't tell you how many MSPs we talked to in 2024 who were migrating or consolidating their PSAs. Big shift in the industry. There's been some news out there, about different market leaders, but a lot of change, it seems like. And so many of them were like, okay, we've got to do this. It's going to be a lot of work. We're not going to have time to do these other things. They're setting expectations, which is really good. But in every single case, I'm not saying most or generally, I'm saying every single case of MSPs that we talked to this year, the date that they had set to be done with this migration or consolidation of the PSA was missed, and not by just a day or two. It was missed by months. And some of them still, they've been pushed out to 2025 now. So, those are kind of real world examples that I think many of us can look at and go, yeah, I remember doing that. I thought we were going to be, done with Banyan Vines and on, Microsoft, server, long time ago. And we still have these boxes sitting around. That we all have those stories. Sometimes we need to stop and listen to our own stories and go, I know that that's not going to go the way I hope it will. And taking that into account can really help you be more successful because you'll actually get more done.
Correct. Start now, create processes now. Because one things that people try to do, and I've noticed this in the MSP community, is they'll say, oh yeah, well, we have an onboarding process for you. It's going to be, 2 months. Well, they make money by making a lengthy onboarding process. They want you to continually think, oh, I can have this done. And it stretches out to years in some situations.
It does.
Right? And you're never done. And so you never move on to that next project because you're never done with the current one, which is why the tips and tricks for this is, given how the industry is shifting, start things now that synergize well. Don't wait till something's completed, but start now. And then if you want to set a goal on when to start something, figure out what is an appropriate time to start your QBRs. If you're going to be implementing Halo and you're switching from ConnectWise or switching from Autotask, don't think, oh, when I'm done with my integration, I will start QBRs. No, QBRs can happen independently of your migration. You can walk in there with a pencil and a piece of paper and start talking to your customers today. knowing that in 4 months, you're going to have a tool that's going to help you with that, because that's when you'll have time to implement the tool and synchronize it with your PSA.
Yep.
QBR tools largely only need an asset inventory. So once your asset inventory is done in Halo, start using your QBR tool to process these. But start today. And that way you can be working these projects to synergize them. Don't play the game of I will do this, then that. Don't play the game of I need to go to these things. Stop playing the game they're telling you to play and start playing the game that's going to make you money and help your client experience.
Yeah.
What are those things? And so my big lesson learned from this entire year is, like, people told me I had to go to so many conferences to get so much money.
Yep.
And I learned that, yes, you do need to go to conferences. You do need to network. You need to have physical presence. But that's not the only way to do things. And that's not where you can provide the most value. And I neglected an entire area because of that. What are you doing in your MSP where you're thinking, this is my expectation. This is what Evolve is telling me to do. This is what my peer group is telling me to do. Instead of doing that, do something like, I'll be having a podcast coming here at the beginning of the year of an MSP, which I think is the best MSP on the planet, who serves vineyards.
That's going to be really cool.
He played a completely separate game than everybody else and is killing it.
Yep.
He didn't go through building a stack, buying into the channel, swimming alongside everybody else. He built something that was amazing and provides a great value, and he's going to be global.
Yep.
And he did not play your game. You don't know him. He doesn't go to the MSP conferences. He's just been playing his own game and serving his customers. You need to decide yourself in 2025, how are you going to play your own game? How are you going to build things yourself that are going to benefit you and your customers? Could it be that you're just going to do Facebook Reels and help educate your entire market? Sure, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not good at that stuff. Hire somebody who is. Lots of people love to have their faces on Reels.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to start hosting events in your local area that are lunch and learns that help people see new technology. Figure out what it is a need in your town and fulfill it. Maybe you've got a bunch of doctor's offices who need advice on how to run an HMS, and you happen to be an expert in that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do that. But figure it out. Stop doing what everybody else is telling you to do, and make 2025 the year of your MSP, where you're going to deliver things that only you can deliver.
I like that. That's cool.
All right, we're kind of all over the place in that one, but it's the end of the year. People are tuning out anyways. We're probably just running in the background on most people's computers. So you have hundreds and hundreds of people listen to these rants every week. So we're not in the tens of thousands, but I'll take it.
That works.
I just think it's funny. Like, what are people doing while they're watching these? Like, they always watch them afterwards. There's a spike that happens, and I'm like, okay, are you drinking coffee right now? Am I in the background while you're fixing a Banyan Vine server?
Now, right now, everyone's getting that last minute shopping in. Checking the ship date. Will this arrive before Christmas?
Will it arrive? So I hope everybody has a great Merry Christmas. That's next week. There will be no community update next week. I will be too busy regretting how much food I've eaten and playing with any new toys. But then we're going to be moving into the new year. So, this is our last community updates of the year. There are no more. There is a couple more podcasts, but it's been a great 2024. We will see you all in 2025.
See ya.